Good morning, Facebook, and good morning to our friends on Instagram. Tanj here. Welcome to Mindset Mastery Monday. It is Monday, the 19th of November. I hope you've had an amazing week. I hope all of you in real estate made the most of your weekend. I understand from speaking with a number of you and watching the market that there was some, times were a bit tough on the weekend. Not as many buyers having a look at as many properties. Good morning, Simon. Welcome. Lovely to have you from Smarter Marketers. Big shout out to Smarter Marketers and Simon and Jesse and his team. They have supported us immensely during our time of promoting Inspiring Greatness. If you're in real estate and you're really keen to get some more lead generation into your business, or make sure that your social media marketing is more effective, or like me, you're wanting to let people know about events that you're producing to help them rise and thrive, especially in changing and challenging markets, please hook up my friend Simon Cryer from Smarter Marketers. Good morning. So much love, Simon. Really appreciate you and the work that Jesse have done to help us make a difference to leaders across Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. We did our our Adelaide event last week, which was awesome. We had around 40 leaders in the room. It is an intimate and immersive event. By end of day one, 95% of intentions were fulfilled. Everyone walked away with a clear strategy for instant implementation, and our average rating was exceeded expectations. So we're so grateful for that feedback. If you did join us and you were there at Adelaide, hey Jay, hey Mark, if you joined us, then we're really grateful. Melbourne, we kick off tomorrow. We're bumping in tonight. We can't wait to see you there. I think we've got nearly 50 people in the room there so far. So awesome. Catherine, hi, lovely to see you here. Karen, I know you're going to love this conversation. So I really want to just get straight into it. It is Monday morning. It's the start of a brand new week. I love Monday mornings because for me, it feels like the 1st of January every week. It's a time to reset, refocus, look at our weekly tasks and really focus on what we need to do as we enter the tail end of 2018. Can you believe it? So having done Inspiring Greatness, which is our 2-day Empowered Leadership Summit in Adelaide last week, it just kind of became clearer to me again how frustrated teams can get when communication is ineffective. So let me begin by asking you this question. Have you ever asked a team member, a colleague, or your child to do something and they just didn't do it, or didn't do it when you asked them to do, or didn't do it as you asked them to do it, and maybe you've asked and asked and asked numerous times? So give me a thumbs up if that's been you. Have you ever asked anyone, especially in your team, to do anything and they haven't done it? See, what happens mostly, certainly with leaders that I've coached or worked with, they tend to get frustrated, right? So you're asking a team member to do something, they don't do it, you get frustrated. And who do you tend to get frustrated with? You get frustrated with the team member that's not doing it. Karen, thumbs up. Yeah, well, I'm going to give you an insight into what might be going on that's having your communication be ineffective. So most of us are asking, making requests for things to be done. It's either not happening at all or not happening as we intend. And then we ask it again and the same thing keeps going on. Our level of frustration and disappointment kicks in and we tend to point the finger. We tend to say, oh, that person or he or she isn't doing what I asked. Now, whenever we point the finger, there are always 3 fingers pointing back that are called me, myself, and I. So as a leadership and mindset specialist, I'm always keen to look at what are we doing rather than point the finger and blame others. Good morning, Chris Cotton. Great to see you here joining us. Good morning, Jasmine Morris. Oh no, Joanne Morris. Hey, Joe. Lovely to have you here. Whenever things aren't going right, great leaders who hold the level of responsibility high, they're always understanding that when we point the finger, there is those 3 fingers pointing back. They're called me, myself, and I, and they get curious into what was I not doing clearly. So around the area of communication, this is a really, really important one. Look, especially at this time in real estate, because There is high levels of fear, concern, anxiety, worry, and stress. There's a lot of stock, there's a lot of listings, but there's not a lot of sales right now. There's not a lot of auctions clearing. And this means leaders and teams are having to be ridiculously resourceful because they still have to manage their cash flow. So if there was ever a time, hey, to be skinny, if there was ever a time for leaders and teams to communicate effectively, now is the time, I truly believe. So let's have a look at it. First of all, there are 4 levels of communication. There's interpersonal communication, which is between one another. We are connecting and communicating one-on-one. There is written communication. There is oral communication, one to many, or I'm doing some oral communication, although this is interpersonal. And then there is the non-verbal communication. So interpersonal, written, oral, and non-verbal. The communication style I'm going to be talking a bit more about today is the interpersonal communication. Communication and communing with one another. Communication does come from the word to commune with, to come together and collaborate. So let's have a look at 7 ways that you can be more effective in your communication. Number 1, how do you know if your communication is ineffective? Well, the requests, demands, promises, declarations that you're making or you're asking your team to make are not being fulfilled, meaning you're asking for a result out there in the world and it isn't happening. You could say that your communication is ineffective. So number 1, especially if you're in teams, I invite you to grab a pen and paper and write these down, because I'd like you to check which one could you really work on. Or if you're driving, you can always listen back to this later. By the way, if you'd love to just receive these Mindset Mastery Monday videos in your inbox every Monday night, just DM me or write a comment, because we email them to everyone on our database. It's free peak performance coaching for real estate leaders, managers, and property professionals. So it's all for you. So if you want to increase the effectiveness of your communication, here are 7 steps that you can do that. Number 1, and I've said this in a previous video before, you must come from the belief that everybody works with the best intentions. If you've got a level of frustration with anyone in your team, when you're frustrated and annoyed at them, yes, okay, great, to be skinny, we will definitely add you. Then what happens is we form an opinion of them, we judge them, and we see them in a certain way. So we label them as negative, or we label them as lazy, or we label them as ineffective, and we judge them. And when we label people, we disconnect from them. We actually don't listen and speak to them in the heightened ways and the best ways that we could. So the first thing, especially if you're a leader, you must have this fundamental belief that everyone that comes into their business or your business, no matter what department or category they work in, no matter how long they've worked with you, no matter whether they're female or male, or no matter what their skill sets, everyone comes to work with the best intentions. No one comes in to actively annoy you and stuff things up. So that's number 1. To have effective communication, you must have a core belief that everyone wants the best for you and your business, because that definitely influences how you interact and speak and engage with them. Number 2, consider that the outcome that is being produced by your requests is your responsibility. So rather than point the finger, as I said before, because there's always 3 fingers pointing back, me, myself, and I, when you make a request from someone, if it doesn't happen, that's your responsibility. And if you're not getting the results, you have to acknowledge that your communication is ineffective. Now, that doesn't mean it's good or bad. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means it's not producing the results that you want it to produce. It's ineffective. So you've got to get curious then. Now, and ask, was I not clear? Because everything is always clearer in our head than it is when it comes out of our mouth. So number 3, when you are communicating, you must make sure you're clear and concise. People receive information either verbally, orally, or visually or kinesthetically. So we all have different representational systems. Some people see things in pictures. Some people just have really strong auditory, abilities, and some people feel things. If you don't know what your representational systems and strengths are of your individual people, you'll just use one particular style, which will be the same, which will be your preferred style. So you might be talking in pictures when they prefer to hear. You might be talking in thinking versus feeling, which will miss the kinesthetic type of listeners. So understand the different representational styles of your people, and that will help you speak in a language that they will get. How do you do that? Well, you can just look up on Google representational styles, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and start to ask your people, do you think you listen through pictures or just words or more feeling? Which way do you prefer to communicate? And also, if you want to know, you can tell by the language that people use. This is a great distinction for you if you're in sales and you want to increase your ability to build rapport with vendors. Do they say, yeah, I think I understand, or yeah, that feels good to me, or I can hear where you're going with that? Whatever words they use, I hear, I think, I feel, will give you a clue as to how they're receiving your communication. So when you're making requests, number 3, make sure they're clear and concise. Everything is always clearer in your head because it's been in there for a little while, or maybe it's just jumped in, but you know what you mean. And if you're in a hurry, you're just going to bark orders at people and they won't have the time to assimilate and integrate the information in the request and the desired outcome. So stop, take stock, make sure you're present, make sure they're present, be clear in your communication and concise in your communication. And get curious. Watch their body language. Are they pulling faces like they don't get it, or are they with you? And then you want to go to step 4, and that is, especially with new people, because here's the truth. When you're communicating with others and making requests, if they're new particularly, they'll just nod and say yes, and they won't say, sorry, what did you mean by that? Or I didn't quite catch that, I didn't get what you mean, because they won't want to look bad. They won't want to look like they don't know what they're doing. So they're just going to assume they get it and then figure it out and then often make mistakes. So make them feel comfortable, especially new people, by asking this question, which is number 4. So I know I was clear. Can you just repeat back to me what I've asked for? So I'll say that again. So I know I was clear. Not so I know you heard me correctly. So take responsibility. So I know I was clear. Can you repeat back to me what I just asked for? And get them to repeat it back. Now you want to be listening for key things. Did they get the request clearly? Did they get the time that you need it clearly? Did they get how you want it delivered back to you clearly? Do you need a report printed on your desk? Do you want something emailed? Are you going to be meeting face to face? Did you give them all the information and did they get it? Or are they missing some pieces? Really critical. So I know it was clear. Can you just repeat back to me what I've asked for? Great for new people particularly. Number 5, please make sure you tell them why you're making this request. People need to know why you need something, because that'll help people prioritize. So you might have your own list of priorities and they're going to have their own list of priorities based on their to-do list. If you don't explain why you need something more important than something else, they're just going to keep churning through their to-do list without understanding the importance of what you need and why. So it's really important that you take the time to say, listen, why I need that before you do this is because of X. Okay, give people the opportunity to understand you and your needs and the business needs greater. Number 6, this is a critical one because people won't often tell you this because they try to people please and end up overcommitting and under-delivering. Number 6, ask the question after you've checked in if they know what you're asking for, after you've told them why. Just say, is there any reason why you may not be able to get that done by when I need? This is such a critical question that if leaders ask their teams, they would really start to understand their people more and they could help them become more resourceful with their time, energy, or tasks. So please ask your people, Is there any reason why you won't be able to get that done by the time I've asked? And then navigate what they've said. If they give you a reason why they can't, they may not have given that to you before you've asked. So asking that question as a leader really shows them that you care and that you're genuinely interested in them producing a great result for them and you. And finally, number 7, thank them. Thank them in advance, especially if you're putting a bit more pressure on them. Definitely thank them in advance. And when they complete the task, make sure you thank them. Words of affirmation is one of the 5 languages of love and appreciation. When we surveyed Australia and New Zealand real estate industry, and we asked people, what is your preferred style of appreciation or language of appreciation out of words of affirmation, tangible gifts, physical touch and affection, quality time and acts of service, words of affirmation comes up trumps every single time. Meaning, when someone does something, you give them some solid feedback and good feedback, but there's 2 key distinctions when you do that. A, it needs to be timely. So there's no point saying, hey, Karen, 3 months, 14 days and 6 hours ago when you did that to solve that problem, that was really great. Thanks for doing that. That's just silly. I would have done a million things between now and then, Karen would say. So make sure when you give feedback, especially affirmation, like good feedback, you make it timely and you make it specific. Let people know exactly what you're happy about or what they did. And if you've got key and core values in your business, always bring whatever they're doing back to the core values to reinstate and reinvigorate them. So, Karen, when you solved that problem over the phone, I really could hear that you had the client first and that you were just over there in their world, navigating with them what they needed. And you sounded like you were really present with them. Thanks for demonstrating our values so beautifully. Words of affirmation cost nothing, but they mean the world to people. So that's my biggest invitation today. As you go about your day, as you go about delegating if you're a leader, interacting if you're a real estate professional, or participating with your family if you're a parent, or just communicating with your barista or the checkout chick or the mailman. If your communication's not producing a result, it's you, not them. Your communication's ineffective. Make sure you understand the language that people like to be communicated with and to. Share with people exactly what you want, clear and concise. Don't waffle and just get to the point. Ask them, so I know I was clear. Can you just repeat back to me what I've asked for? Tell them why you need this specific action taken or done, because people will understand it and they'll prioritize accordingly. Ask them, is there any reason you won't be able to get this done by when I need it done? And say thank you. It really means a lot. As you go about your day today, please acknowledge the people that are around you, whether they do the small or big things for you. Let them know they matter and let them know you care. Communication makes a massive difference to people as you're working and collaborating together, especially in these changing, challenging and market correcting times where people's fear and anxiety is heightened. So just a quick tip for you, if you're interested in having greater and more effective communication, I hope you found that useful. Catherine, okay, great. We'll make sure you're added. And hey, Kim, lovely to have you here too. Remember, if you have a question around leadership or mindset in particular, I did a poll on Facebook recently. More of you said you wanted stuff around mindset. So I'm going to absolutely bring you a lot more content around how to master your mindset, rise resilient in a world of rejection, and navigate these waves of change. So if that interests you, give me a thumbs up. If you have a specific question for you, yourself, your business, your team, or your life, please feel free to DM me. All questions are answered confidentially. No names are mentioned. Thanks for that lovely comment. Oh, to be skinny. And I'm here for you. The reason I do this is I truly believe that you deserve to be happy and live deeply fulfilling lives. I absolutely believe that real estate can provide a pathway to fulfill on that. And now more than ever, it's time for us to be great communicators, because every time we communicate, we can create whole new realities or just complain about the past? Which one are you committed to doing? I'm going to be talking more about that one next week. Is your communication just complaining about the past or creating whole new futures? So much love to you all. I hope you have an amazing day. We kick off Inspiring Greatness in Melbourne tomorrow. I think there's like 5 tickets left. If you're keen, $200 off is still available. Just head to www.inspiringgreatness.2018.com.au to all the leaders that have booked their seats. We're going to bring it for you. We can't wait to be of service. Have a magic day, a beautiful week, and much love. Go and be the change that you wish to see in the world today. We'll speak soon.